see here. We've got a little time. We started at 11:30, but we've encouraged people to jump in early if they wish. Uh, I do have one quick question from Margie, and that is, do you really have a big room with the state seal on the background? I think I know the answer, but I thought I would ask anyway.
Yeah, it's some fancy app that our IT division did.
Nice, 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 nice.
We have those seals stuck around in some rooms, but not that big and not this room.
Sure, sure.
So I have a question for you.
I'm happy to answer it if I can.
Is it true that the Fairfax Industrial area is the maker of Cheez-Its worldwide?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, very
It is
cool.
indeed. In fact, Fairfax, my company has been in Fairfax in KCK since 1958. It was on
Wow.
the Missouri side prior to that when it was founded in 1925. So I literally grew up, this is a family business. So I literally grew up coming into Fairfax, even as a little boy, working the summers in high school. But I'm amazed at how low the profile is outside this immediate area. Most of my friends who grew up in Kansas aren't even familiar with it or where it is or not aware, let alone knowing anything about the Cheez-Its. But it actually is a little over 100 businesses, about 110, 120, and over 10,000 jobs. So it's a big revenue generator too, with our cornerstone companies such as General Motors, Kellogg's, Owens and Corning, and all that. So we keep pretty busy down here. We just keep a low profile.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've always known of the Fairfax district. I just didn't know all those interesting details.
In fact, General Motors is on the grounds of the old Fairfax Airport that you can still see the runways if you get up on the levee. But apparently when Charles Lindbergh came in to dedicate the downtown airport, he decided to land in Fairfax because he liked the airport layout better. At least that's the legend. I don't know if it's true or not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. Well, hopefully you guys will get to do your festival again, and it sounds like a really good event.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. It's Caw Point, where the confluence of the Kansas and meets into the Missouri. It is a perfect, beautiful view of downtown Kansas City, Missouri. It's just gorgeous. And again, like Fairfax, it gets overlooked a lot. A lot of people don't even know it's there. So it's very nice. I am also interested in hearing from Secretary Zmuda about this topic. I don't know much about the Department of Corrections, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
But I'm looking forward to learning more.
yeah, that's great. Well, hopefully we can give good information and answer the questions.
Sure. Richard, how are you doing, sir? Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off there. Got to find the mute button.
Can you
There
hear
it
me?
is. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing good.
Keeping
Yeah,
healthy?
no complaints. No complaints.
Good. Good.
And
That's great.
Jeff Zoom is, how do you pronounce his last name?
Zmuda. I'm an expert now.
Zmuda.
No,
Zmuda.
no, not Zmuda, just Zmuda.
Zmuda. Zmuda.
Zmuda, like
Okay.
Z-M-O-O.
He's working really hard on training. And so that when they get out of the Department of Corrections, they can get a job.
Well, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to hearing about the labor because there is a labor shortage. We're having a heck of a time. I keep hearing about all the people, unemployed, but there's no shortage of jobs at Central Solutions. I can promise you that.
But now, are you looking for, are they positions that possess a skill?
The most basic ones are very, very primitive. I mean, they don't possess any special skills other than showing up and doing your job.
Okay.
But then we also have some QC, QA positions that take a little bit more requirement,
Right.
and lab positions as well for chemists. So
Yeah.
we're kind of all over the board there.
Right. Yeah, because
Also,
there's jobs opening. I've known.
Tell me.
fantastic, Tammy. Thank you so much.
Let me stop sharing.
Statistics were pretty interesting. I wouldn't mind. I would like to get those if I could.
Oh, sure. Be happy to share.
That'd be really helpful. We appreciate that and all the good help that the community college has provided us, Central Solutions, my company, and Fairfax as well. You all have been tremendous.
Thank you.
I also want to give Reuben Brown and specifically Caleb Lilly, who's a partner with Reuben Brown, a few minutes. Caleb, thank you so much for supporting this month's luncheon and Fairfax in general. We're very grateful. I will go ahead and turn it over to you, sir.
Thanks. Appreciate the time. I'll make it brief. I know you guys have an agenda today, so I want to make sure that we can keep you on task. Just want to take maybe a minute or two to give you a little background on our firm. So again, my name's Caleb Lilly. I'm a partner with Reuben Brown here locally in our Kansas City office. We're downtown. Reuben Brown has been around since the early 50s, full service accounting firm, audit, tax, various types of consulting. So, been around a long time. We're all across the Midwest, St. Louis, Chicago, Nashville, here, Denver, Vegas. So pretty good footprint. Serve just about every industry you could imagine, but really specifically, we focus on the manufacturing distribution industries and the construction industries, especially in this market, a heavy niche there. And that's why we're so excited to be a part of the FIA group, very active group and a lot of energy. So it's fun when you get to join these events and people are participating and getting involved because setting a lot of these in the last years, you can imagine, and many times it's just silence. So this group's been kind of fun to hang with, and the holiday party was great, as good as you could make it virtually, right? People were interacting and hanging out, and I think it went maybe even an hour long. So anyway, I just mentioned maybe two things really fast. As you could all imagine, CARES Act and then the Consolidated Appropriations Act that were both passed this past year have not only rocked our world from a tax and accounting perspective, but most likely yours in many ways. PPP round 2 is out. The rules have changed a little bit. The size of the loan is not as large, but there's a few more things you got to prove, like some need and things like that. So if you're familiar with it, great. If you're not, be happy to help get you a little background on it, or reach out to your current accountant. I'm sure they can get you up to speed. A few other things that were out there, the availability of the employee retention credit has changed a little bit. Some of those rules, making it a little more available, and especially available to those who may have already taken a PPP loan. So that's opened up a few avenues. Again, if you got some curiosities there or unsure, please reach out to your current provider to see how they can help you. And the only other thing I would probably mention that's really been interesting in the last couple of years is sales and use tax. A lot of you have a lot of inputs into your manufacturing process, and as you probably know, your major inputs are oftentimes exempt from sales tax as you put them into your products. But there are a lot of other components to the manufacturing process that people don't realize can be exempt from sales tax. I won't get into any details, but think things that maybe you don't think about ending up in the product itself: packaging, lubricants, cleaning supplies, things that are necessary to the manufacturing process that you might be paying sales tax on that you may not need to. So something to think about as you go about your business. But those are the types of things that, when I say consulting, that we get involved with as a firm, that are really kind of fun, and they're really hopefully helpful to your organization. So I'll end it at that. Again, thank you for the time today. Really appreciate it. And our firm's been super excited to be involved. You guys are a great group to work with. So thanks for the time.
Thank you, Caleb, and thanks for the kind words. We are a lot of fun. Just ask us. So with that being said, and I really should have said this earlier, I apologize for not doing so, but it looks like everybody's already handled it pretty well. Just make sure, if you would, that you are on mute as we transition to our guest speaker. And this is such an interesting topic to me, in part because it's something I know little about, but also it's very just inherently interesting. It is our pleasure to have our guest speaker this month, the Secretary of the Kansas Department of Corrections, Jeff Zmuda. Mr. Secretary Zmuda, thank you so much for joining us. I'll turn it over to you, and thank you, Margie, for assisting with the PowerPoint. We are grateful for your time and for the information you'll share with us.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. It's good to be here with y'all. Good to see y'all. You do seem like a fun group, and we're excited to be here with you today. Before I get started, I want to express my appreciation for KCK and Dr. Botanek and all the work that they're doing with Second Chance Pell. We're going to talk a little bit about how maybe higher ed feeds into what we're doing with Kansas Department of Corrections in our presentation today. And so I'm going to take the opportunity to meet with you. I'm going to talk a little bit today about an often overlooked and at times underappreciated workforce, and that's our returning citizens. We'll share a little information with you about what we're doing, what we see as the vision going forward, how that might tie in to your business or other private industry, and what opportunities might be there. I want to make sure and formally introduce Margie Phelps. Margie is with us today, and she is going to take care of the technical side, but also she's here to help when we get to a question and answer phase. Margie is our Executive Director of Programs and Reentry for the organization. I appreciate having Margie with us today. So first and foremost, most importantly, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, man, and Margie, would you go back to the lead slide, the first slide? You're saying, man, is that really how he spells his last name? And unfortunately, it is. That's the correct spelling. I'm planning on going on Wheel of Fortune and buying a vowel to stick in between that Z and that M. So I came here from Idaho in July of 2019. I'd spent a 30-year plus career in the Idaho Department of Correction. There, had an opportunity to come here under Governor Kelly and serve with the great folks at Kansas Department of Correction. And there are a number of great folks in the organization who are really committed to public safety and to helping the folks that are remanded to our care and custody come back out to the community better than which they came to us. But early on, in addition to that, early on in my time here, I really came to appreciate a couple of things. The talent and desire for opportunity that exists within our incarcerated population. There are a lot of smart, talented, and eager to be successful people in our population. Now, it's not everybody, but there's a high percentage of them that do not want to stay in the lifestyle that they've been in. They want to change. So I was very impressed by that. And then equally so, impressed by the external partnerships we have with our partners in higher education, and that's throughout the state. And you heard a little bit about Second Chance Pell, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then private industry. I was really, really, really taken aback by the great partnerships that we have here. Well, I did not have those partnerships in Idaho. We have a number of great partners that are in our prison system working with us, providing workforce training opportunities, and outside of our prisons that they've partnered with us and are helping train our population for return back to the community through workforce training. Very impressed by all that, and hopefully we can illustrate a little bit of that presentation. Okay, Margie, I think we're ready. So here's a goal. We want to develop those strong partnerships with businesses in Kansas. If you get nothing else from this presentation, please know that about us. We've got an obligation to help our communities by preparing these folks for return, successful return back into the community. We'll talk a little bit later about the numbers and what that looks like with them. Advantages. There's a great workforce need throughout the state. Lieutenant Governor David Tolan is also the Secretary of Commerce. He would tell you, I want to say there's 50,000 job shortage in the state of Kansas, and there's no workforce to fill that. So we want to try to help fill that gap a little bit. We want those returning citizens to be able to achieve a livable, sustainable wage. We know that in the key factors to their success, a really good job is the key factor to that. Get them back out in the community, let them reconnect with their families, help support them, and really get back into the community, be contributing citizens. Really, it's best for all of us. A couple factors that a good job helps our population with: stabilize or really supports stabilized housing, stabilized transportation, and access to resources, whether it be access to medical care, access to cognitive programming, whether it be behavioral health care. All of that is needed for returning citizens to be successful. The underpinning of all that is a job that pays a livable, sustainable wage. On the next slide, talk about talent pipeline from prison to the KC area. So 98%, and I don't think the general population in our communities gets this, 98% of our population that's incarcerated with us today will return to the community at some point. 98%. Very few are staying with us for life. And generally, they return to the community from which they came. That's a lot of folks. Look at the numbers that are returning to your area. 900 people released to the Wyandotte, Johnson, and Leavenworth counties. We have just about 1,500 people under supervision, whether that's parole, post-release supervision in those counties. And you can see the backgrounds, the crimes there. There's about 1,400 folks in community corrections, very intense probation. You add those up, that's about 3,800 individuals that are pretty deep into the criminal justice system, which in and of itself can become a barrier to achieving a good job. And that's a workforce that wants to be successful. Those are folks that with the right education and training, not all of them, but I believe a high percentage of them could be successful and be good employees for your businesses or businesses like yours. Education, training, and pairing them up with industry really does lead to good jobs and lowering the recidivism. All of these bullets, I mean, just look at this, 6% more likely to get a livable wage if they complete the GED program. Just getting the GED gets them that job. If they get that CTE, they're 8% more likely. A college course, just one college course, not an associate or bachelor's degree, they're 20% more likely to get that livable wage. If they hold a private industry job while they're incarcerated with us, and I referenced how we have those great partnerships, they're 25% more likely to get a livable wage job after release. And then you add all that up, get to that last bullet. If they get that livable wage job, they are a third less likely to return to prison. If we're releasing 6,000 people every year, and we are, and we improve the recidivism, now it's about 35%, and we improve that by another third, that's pretty impressive. That's a lot of folks staying out in the community. What that does for us, keeping those folks out of prison, not only does it reduce the burden on taxpayers of that cost of incarceration, it reunites them with their families, it lets them help support their, and that reunification with families can help break that cycle of incarceration within families, and that's real. If my dad was incarcerated, there's a pretty good likelihood I'm going to make my way into the criminal justice system. So that reunification reduces crime, it helps them support their families, they pay taxes, they become contributing members of the community, and then again, there is that reduced burden on the taxpayer for the cost of incarceration. So here's a little bit about what we and our partners are doing today. We've got those 42 private industry partners and 16 correctional industries, a little bit different model there. We've got about a little over 1,000. We want to double or triple that if we can. All of our facilities offer the GED. We have the job readiness, cognitive-based learning to help people with the way they think and how they interact with others. And that's a big part of this population. When you're incarcerated, that's a little bit of a rough environment, and some of these folks don't have the best demeanor. Trying to get them to, when they're out in the workforce, get them those soft skills, that training, that conflict resolution skills, so they can navigate their way when they're out in the workforce is important. We have parole officers and most of our facilities that have job specialists that work closely with these folks. They help pair them up with potential employers to help them navigate all of the nuances of getting back into the workforce, for everything from getting your driver's license to how to get your resume done, stuff like that. And then we have folks embedded in Commerce, Wichita Workforce Center, Northwest Kansas Workforce Centers that help us place those folks. Coming back to opportunities with our education partners, and we're just really excited about Second Chance Pell. About a year ago, we worked with our state partners. There's a consortium of about 10 colleges here in Kansas that applied for the Second Chance Pell Grant, and I believe 7 of the 10 were selected, and we were thrilled with that. Well, since then, the federal government has released the restrictions on Pell, and it's really going to blow. I mean, it is literally going to blow up and be a game changer for corrections throughout the country. So we're really excited about that. You can see our 3 partners in the Lansing that serve the Lansing Correctional Facility and serve the area of your businesses. We're really looking in our workforce training to make it either some kind of credit bearing or CTE certifications, make it market relevant vocations. There'll be some associates and some bachelors, but I think there'll be a lot of CTE, that's for sure. And then you see some of the programs that are being established, trying to develop and get ready to come on board with us. Wide variety things. So we're poised to have some tremendous opportunities to educate and train our population and create that talented workforce that's the demand of the business community out there. There's ongoing work in our facilities, some really good stuff going on. Every facility, education programming, again, market relevant, answering to those high need, high demand occupations. We're partnering closely with colleges and employers to ensure that they're ready, that workforce is ready, and then a strong support system, trying to make sure that there's a good environment for learning, a place where people can learn, grow, and change. But to build on that, we have a vision. We want to take it to a next level. We have to take it to a next level. With Second Chance Pell coming and the demand of employers, we envision creating career campuses at our facilities. And we're going to start with the Lansing Correctional Facility. So this is a spirit sketch or a rendition of what that campus might look like. And that's right there in the forefront and kind of the tan and gray. Doesn't look very prison-y, and that's by design. That's intentional. Prison-y is a very, very formal correctional terms for concrete, gray paint. Very, when you think of a prison, you think of a place that's probably not well lit, kind of dirty, kind of nasty. That's not a good learning environment. That doesn't foster opportunities for change, particularly in a population that probably doesn't have the best thinking skills. They're not the most pro-social thinkers. So what we want to create in this environment, a magnet where people want to go. They know it's a life-changing opportunity for them. They can go there. They can get an education that they need. They can get the training they need that will literally change not only their lives, but their families' lives. We think that career campus will do that. So we're working with our public and private partnership to develop this plan to reduce the recidivism. Going to develop a model that we can replicate throughout our organization. Really excited about our partners that have come to the table, and we're looking to broaden that, spread that partnership. We've got the Chambers of Commerce. I think John's on today, and we appreciate them. They're a big driver there, and that's the KC Chamber, the Wichita Chamber, and the State Chamber are on board helping us. If you look, every dollar spent on educating incarcerating citizens, $4 to $5 are saved in incarceration costs. It's a good business decision. If you can't get on board with the social aspect of it, and I hope you will, because it's good for you and your family and community. But if you can't do it from that perspective, certainly from a business perspective, it makes sense. And then we're welcoming all comers. We want to hear from anybody and everybody what the needs are, how we might be able to partner, and what we can do going forward. We want to ensure that the curriculum and the training are tailored to the needs of business. We want to develop and deliver a well-educated, well-trained worker who can be successful upon their return to the community. And then really we want to develop those relationships with private industry and business partners that will foster their willingness to hire returning workforce. That's still a barrier in a lot of areas. Although I'm encouraged, I see those barriers slowly starting to erode, and I'm encouraged by that. So, how can we partner with you? We'd like to connect you to our job specialists for referrals and placements, or have a way that if you're interested in hiring our folks, and we know that our job specialists can reach out to you, and we can assist. We can provide you with, we want you to know who you're getting. We don't want to pull the wool over anybody's eyes and have you get somebody that you don't want any part of. So we can share, what they've done in terms of their criminal history, what they've done to improve themselves. And then, if you've got certain screening criteria that you want to screen folks out, we can certainly be engaged in that. And we want to tailor it to your needs. Want to work together and spread the word, get it out there to everybody, let everybody know. These folks are really committed. They need a job. They want to change. We've got people available to address any problems that come along if they happen to be working for you or others. They're skilled. They'll come out. We want them to come out skilled. They'll become more skilled. And we've got some private industry partners that can provide that testimony. And then we really want that strong workforce. We know if we're going to move the needle on the number of people that come back to prison, this is the number one factor. The number one factor is to provide them with that opportunity to earn that sustainable living wage and be productive members of society. So for more information, got an email box, shoot us an email, reach out. We'll have somebody get back to you. We'll get you any additional information. As we move forward with this career campus model, we'll have a website stood up. We're not quite there yet. We'll have something there where there'll be more information. But in the meantime, shoot us an email, reach out, let us know how we can help, and we'll look to partner with you. And with that, I'll close out the presentation. Thank you again for that. And Margie and I will field any questions you may have.
Well, thank you, Secretary Zmuda, and thank you, Margie. I'll open it up to the floor as soon as I ask Secretary Zmuda one quick question. That is, when you're in Idaho, can I ask what city you lived in?
I was raised in Boise, grew up and lived my entire life in Boise, Idaho.
Well, I love Boise. It's one of my favorite cities. I've got some, I did business up there for many years and developed some close friendships. I have floated the Boise River many times.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And it's a great place. I tell you, I'm glad you're here. But if I had to move and it couldn't be to a beach somewhere, Boise would be near the very top of my list. So a great place and wonderful people.
That is awesome. I appreciate you saying that. It's a great place to live, great place to raise a family, and what drew me here were the people here, the people in the organization and the work that they're doing here. And that's, I'm not kidding you, great people in KDOC. And I'm proud to be here serving with them. It's been a great opportunity for me. Enjoyed
We're
it.
glad you're here. What, if there's any questions for the secretary, feel free to just jump in and have at it.
I have a quick question, Jeff. Are you currently working with Connections to Success?
I believe we are. Margie, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, we've partnered with Connections to Success for probably over 15 years. And our
Okay.
folks under supervision in Kansas City often get help from them.
Okay. Thank you.
Jeff, this is Jake Brown. I just had, and you may have covered this a little bit, but I just was curious, are there training opportunities for someone who's still in the system to be able to actually get on the job, or some kind of specific training for a company who might want to hire them or bring them on after they are let out of incarceration? Is there a way to kind of ease them into an actual on-the-job type of training? I'm not sure if you covered that specifically or if that's something that's available, but was curious.
Yeah, great question, Jake. So there are some opportunities, albeit they're limited. We have some, and I'll use Lansing as example. We have some men living in our minimum custody unit outside the fences of the big secure complex that go out to private industry jobs every day and work and start at the ground level and are learning and working on the job, and then they come back at night and live there, and they're still serving time at a minimum custody. Then in Wichita, and it's the only one of these we have, but we need more. We have a Wichita work release facility. And so when they get to Wichita work release, if they make it there, and it's limited, I think there's 250 beds there, they actually go out with a myriad of different businesses. They're not, in Lansing, we have 2 or 3 primary business partners there. But in Wichita work release, they'll have a job. They could be working in a restaurant. They could be working construction. They could be working welding. They could be working software, whatever it is. They'll go out, work in the day for the business, just like any of us would. And then they return at night. They help pay for their room and board there. And it's really a step down from the prison environment to help them transition both socially and financially. So there are some opportunities. We have an opportunity to build some beds at the Lansing facility here, probably start here in about 6-8 months and have them online in about 2 years. And our goal with that construction is to create a work release opportunity over in the Lansing area, which could serve probably a 50-mile radius, maybe a little bit further there. So more opportunities coming, but yes, there are some opportunities.
Great. That's great. Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff, Marshall Dominguez, Kansas City, Kansas Community College.
Hi, Marshall.
Thank you for sharing today. So you said 6 to 8 months to groundbreaking on the new facility inside Lansing?
6 to 8 months will be groundbreaking on a housing facility, housing unit outside of the fences, which would be drug and alcohol treatment facility, and our plan is to convert as many of those beds as we can to also have those folks out working in the community. That Lansing Career Campus that I showed the rendition of, we're in a fundraising mode right now. We're trying to raise the funds for that. Again, we have some private and nonprofit partners that are going to help us try to raise that funding. It's unknown when that project might start. I would guess we're probably 12 to 18 months in the fundraising mode before we can get into any kind of a design and construction mode. Sooner the better. It was needed yesterday.
We know that pain. We're raising our funding.
Yeah, you've gone through that. Yeah.
And also, real quick, Zephyr, are they still part of the program there?
They are. I'm glad you brought them up. They're one of those major partners at the Lansing facility. Zephyr does a lot of manufacturing and welding, and I think they have about nearly 100 of our men go out there every day and work and then return to that minimum custody facility at Lansing at night. Zephyr's a great partner. One of about 4 or 5 pretty good sized partners there for us at Lansing.
And that's much appreciated that you are able to let them out and they want to learn.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, Jeff. I'm Marcia Harrington with the Wyandotte Economic Development Council. And our organization is working with a very large group of individuals in the county on the barriers to jobs in education, childcare, language, transportation, post-secondary education, and the last one being those with that are justice involved with a criminal history background. And the expungement bill we're looking at now, and individuals after they've served their time for certain crimes can get their records expunged, but there's a process they have to go through with an attorney and through the court system, and it can be expensive, especially for someone just coming out of the system and not having any money. So we're looking at auto expungement of certain crimes. Mm-hmm. So I kind of wanted to get your thought on that. And there's some other states that have done that so far. So we've already had a bill introduced to the legislature on this subject, and just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, Marcia, well, first of all, I applaud you for what you're doing on that. I'll cue Margie up to talk more in detail about it, but I'll say this, we're in favor of that type of legislation. It doesn't make sense when somebody has, it's a felony crime, but if the crime isn't somehow tied to the profession that they want to go in, so I don't think that you'd have somebody who's necessarily, if somebody's selling drugs, or drug manufacturer and seller, you probably don't want to allow them to become a pharmacist. That or a pharmacist tech. That's probably wise. But what are there other things that they could do that really don't tie to their crime? So maybe Margie, can you talk a little bit of some of the conversations we have and what we're trying to promote there a little bit?
Yes, just a couple of highlights. We've collected all the statutes and regulations in the state that pose a licensure barrier, and they are myriad. So we've got a growing conversation with some specific sectors to start statutorily changing some of those, and also working with our education partners and employers. So for example, we're looking at some of the healthcare sector jobs. That's one that's getting attention. We're proposing legislation so that people with criminal histories can work in restaurants that serve alcohol. So we've noticed with the legislature, there's growing interest. And I think this expungement suggestion is right in that vein. There's a percent of our folks who get out and they're doing well and they're ready to move on, and that is a barrier, and finances is a barrier. So anything that would give some relief on that expungement would be helpful, because a lot of these statutes do specifically speak to unless it's been expunged. So that would take away some of those barriers. I think it's a great idea.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your efforts on that, Marcia.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I had a quick question. In the beginning, you were talking about things that help reduce recidivism, one of which was livable wage. What do you consider to be a livable wage?
Margie, do we have a number on that?
Well, the evaluator who looks at our programs and evaluates them, he goes with whatever the state's, it's a percent above the poverty line. And he defines it, you know, I would say probably right now from what I see, it's somewhere in that $18 to $19 an hour is kind of the sweet spot that we're looking for. But it's a percent above the poverty line that's defined by whatever the labor, Department of Labor defines it as in the state.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, if you have some after the fact, I'm sure that Secretary Zmuda would be happy to answer them. You have his contact information. Thank you so much for your time today. And thank you, Margie, for your assistance and for jumping on early and making sure I knew what I was doing. Very interesting information. I'll be taking some of that to my HR people. And if we could, we'd love to have some of that after the fact as well to share, if possible, Mr. Secretary.
You betcha.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank
All right, before we break, let me turn it over to Rachel because we have a couple of door prizes donated to us by the kind people at Reuben Brown. So let me thank you again, Caleb. And I believe there's someone else on here from Reuben Brown. Megan, there you are up there. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support. So Rachel, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, and I believe that the 2 door prizes are $25 gift cards to DoorDash. So use those and have fun with it. So, all right, here I have everyone's name in here. Mike Martin. Mike, are you on still? Did you get on?
You have to be on.
I am on.
All right. All right, so Mike is winner of 1. And second one is Steve Daly. Steve, are you on? No,
I did not see him.
I don't see that he actually logged in. Let's try one more. Dave Nicholson. Dave is on.
I'm here.
All right. Well, congratulations, Mike and Dave. You are the winners of $25 DoorDash gift cards from Reuben Brown.
Thank you. I'll be sure to rub it in Steve's face.
Thanks, Rachel, and congratulations to the 2 of you. Again, thank you to our sponsors. We're very grateful for your support, the good people over at Reuben Brown, as well as KCK Community College, and a special thanks to you, Mr. Secretary, for your time today. On behalf of the Fairfax Industrial Association and all the businesses in Fairfax, thank you all for joining us. Be safe out there, try to keep warm, and we hope to see many of you at our next event on March 11th, and then again on April 9th, when Representative Davids joins us. So thank you all so much. Be safe out there.
Have a great day.
Hey, guys.
Right.